Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Bo Oliver here again for the third straight year in a row to give you my top 10 movies of the year. This year, 2018. And as with the previous 2 years, these are the top 10 unequivocal best movies of the year. So if you disagree, you're wrong, and if you agree, you're on the right side of history. In all seriousness, lately we haven't had a lot of time to review certain movies that we've seen and loved, so it's nice to give you guys a little insight into some of our favorite movies of the year. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Are you doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How you doing?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
I hope you have a good day.
Hope you have a better week.
I hope your month is full of successful days and a lot of great ventures. I hope you just come up, brother.
I hope your whole fucking year is spectacular.
Oh, you hope my year is spectacular?
Yeah.
You got something you want to say to me?
You got something you want to say?
Anyone who is familiar with the music of Boots Riley is also familiar with his unabashed political conscience. His music tackles a wide range of subjects, from capitalism to racism, drug use, and class structure, to name a few, all of which are subjects analyzed in his directorial debut. Sorry to Bother You stars Lakeith Stanfield as Cassius Green, a down-on-his-luck telemarketer who makes a lucrative discovery. Talking to customers in a white accent equals more sales. As he continues to rise through the ranks of the telemarketing business, Cassius becomes obsessively greedy. His financial gains are coupled with moral dilemmas, and the choices presented to him are equally relatable as they are absurd. Sorry to Bother You finds Riley delivering a striking critique on contemporary capitalism. He combines elements of magical realism and science fiction to remove any ambiguity in his message. What the film lacks in subtlety, it makes up for with clever absurdity. Just because the message is clear doesn't make it any less artistic. It's more of how that message is told, and the political conscience of Sorry to Bother You is a mix between Bernie Sanders and Eric Andre. Featuring two great lead performances by Lakeith Stanfield and Tessa Thompson, Sorry to Bother You is an extremely encouraging start to the career of Boots Riley as a filmmaker. My final score for Sorry to Bother You is 9 out of 10.
What to do? My heart, it feels sick. Like it's going into battle.
Directed by Armando Iannucci, most famous for being the creator of the political comedy show Veep, The Death of Stalin is a political comedy that's probably more documentary than satire. Iannucci specializes in whimsical political satire, yet the most unexpected aspect of The Death of Stalin is how incredibly dark the film becomes. For all its comedic mischief, the events that occur in The Death of Stalin are more or less true. Death of Stalin seems ridiculous while you're watching it. All the actors are speaking English, and the screenplay rarely misses a comedic beat, but when you start to think about it, this is probably how these real-life figures genuinely responded to Stalin's death, tripping over themselves and their adversaries to try and secure the throne of Soviet Russia. One moment they are sycophants, kissing the ass of the world's most brutal dictator, and the next they are Machiavellian schemers, willing to risk everything for absolute power. Aside from the assassination, the starvation, political persecution, and mass murder, communism can be kind of funny. And we all know that tragedy loves comedy, and that's what we see in The Death of Stalin. If you're a fan of history, if you're a fan of comedy, then this is the perfect movie for you. My final score for Death of Stalin would be 9 out of 10.
I can teach you to be Spider-Man. I love this burger. So delicious. One of the best burgers I've ever had. You have money, right? I'm not very liquid right now.
I think you're gonna be a bad teacher.
It feels like there have been 25 Spider-Man movies since the turn of the century. Reboots, remakes, recasts, debates over what is the best Spider-Man movie and who is the best Spider-Man actor, Tom Holland. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse decided to cut out the middleman and simply make a movie about every Spider-Man incarnation ever. It also shows just how silly those Spider-Man actor debates are by introducing a bold new idea. Anyone can wear the mask, even a pig. Into the Spiderverse is a comic book come to life. I bet you've heard that before, but it's simply true. New York City naturally lends itself to this new animation style. The actual city is bursting with color and vibrancy, so creating an animated replica of the concrete playground was a no-brainer. Spider-Man himself is a character that works better in an animated sphere. His powers and abilities are based off of swift and fluid aerial movements, something that just looks better animated than in live action. And all the Spider people in this movie are given a chance to show off their unique unique spider abilities, and we can't ignore the importance of seeing Miles Morales on the big screen for the first time. Like Peter Parker, he represents the underdog and the everyman, but he brings so much more to the fight. Being a biracial kid growing up in Brooklyn, Miles' insecurities are naturally different from Peter Parker's. He is a kid from the inner city who was given a chance to improve his situation, and then he's also given immense superhuman abilities. The weight of New York is placed on this young man's shoulders. Luckily for him, he has several generations of spider people to walk him through it. My final score for Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse is 9 out of 10. Alfonso Cuarón's Roma might not be the best film of 2018, but it certainly hits the hardest on every level. Serving as both director and cinematographer, Cuarón has called Roma semi-autobiographical, with 90% of the movie being pulled from his own childhood growing up in Mexico. Like his previous masterpiece, Y Tu Mama Tambien, Mexico serves as a backdrop, with the narrative focused on a middle-class Mexican family and their maid, Cleo, played by first-time actor Yalitza Martinez. Right from the beginning, we know that this family is in trouble. The marriage between the mother and the father is breaking down, the kids are oblivious to their family problems, and Cleo is forced to act as both maid and caregiver to this family, while also dealing with her own personal issues. Everything that surrounds Cleo is bursting with energy. All the people in her life wear their emotions on their sleeves. Even the societal problems in Mexico are at play, with random acts of violence occasionally throwing the personal story off track. In between these moments of personal and national chaos, Cleo is rarely allowed to show her hand, which makes it the perfect role for a first-time actor. She carries herself with a calm and dignified demeanor, with her personal arc reflecting the pacing of the actual film, a slow emotional build-up to an ending that perfectly concludes her personal journey. My final score for Roma would be 9 out of 10.
Okay, so try again. Release yourself.
Oh, release you mean?
Yeah, fine. Release me. Just say it. Just fucking say it.
Don't you swear at me, you little shit! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother! Do you understand?
I really love the new trend of Hollywood horror movies tackling real-life issues under the guise of classic horror tropes. For the most part, Hereditary is a standard drama about a family dealing with tragedy. It's more Manchester by the Sea than, say, Paranormal Activity. The plot follows a family riddled with mental illness ranging from depression to schizophrenia. Throughout the film, the audience can see how these ailments affect the nuclear structure of the family while tying in themes of supernatural thrill. We are led to believe that the supernatural occurrences in the film are imagined by Toni Collette's character, which is partly true. Director Ari Aster is giving us his own personal take on the stigmas attached to mental illness, how society can sometimes fail to accept its legitimacy, and how these ailments can be passed down from generation to generation. Led by a captivating performance by Toni Collette, the best performance of the year, I would argue, Hereditary is simply one of the best horror movies of all time. My final score for Hereditary would be 9.2 out of 10.
Can you describe its form?
No.
Start from the beginning.
While experiencing any piece of art, one of my favorite emotional responses is confusion mixed with satisfaction. To say the ending of Annihilation left me satisfyingly confused is putting it mildly. The irony of me watching Annihilation was that only a few weeks before I had seen Andrei Tarkovsky's Stalker for the very first time, a film that I believe to be the most comparable to Annihilation. Foregoing Stalker's religious spirituality, Annihilation takes a more unforgiving and brutal stance on what drives humanity to its depths. It explores the reasons for our sometimes personal inclination towards self-destruction, and how indifferent the universe can be to our crises of consciousness. The film follows 4 scientists who travel inside an alien entity known as the Shimmer, an expanding bubble-like substance that threatens to cover the entire world, and no one who enters the Shimmer has ever come back alive. Inside the Shimmer, the natural laws that we are all familiar with are missing, yet the Shimmer still breathes life. It creates, it destroys, and it continues to grow. It's a paradoxical metaphor for our own universe, and like our universe, it gives and it takes without consideration for the personal demons plaguing its human characters. My final score for Annihilation would be 9.2 out of 10.
You have my respect, Stark. When I'm done, half of humanity will still be alive. I hope they remember you.
The first time I watched Avengers Infinity War, I was a little thrown off. I liked the movie, but I wasn't sure if I loved the way it was told. Then it hit me that Infinity War is not a movie. It's a season finale. Infinity War plays out like an episode of Game of Thrones. In the beginning, our characters are spread out across the map, or in this case, the galaxy. Thanks to 10 years of interwoven cinematic storytelling, the Russo brothers were given a near impossible task of reconnecting these disparate threads in under 3 hours. And in the end, we have an almost perfect picture. Not a single moment in this movie is wasted. Every action has a consequence, and every character has a role to play. Some characters have more screen time than others. Surprisingly, the two characters with the most are Thanos and Gamora, but no one feels left out to dry. Same with the action sequences. Infinity War features two of my favorite MCU battles, the Battle of Wakanda and the Battle of Titan, which happen to play out simultaneously. It's a duet of destruction where every shot taken matters, and our heroes desperately try to stop the Mad Titan Thanos from achieving his goal. And I said in my initial review, Josh Brolin's Thanos is the best supervillain we've seen since Heath Ledger's Joker. I find myself randomly reciting Thanos' lines from the movie, declaring apocalyptic proclamations to my imaginary adversaries. Dread it, run from it. Top 10 movie lists always arrive. It's a performance that won't be recognized during award season, but a performance nonetheless that has become iconic. Thanos is this generation's Darth Vader, and dare I say he's more sinister than Vader ever was. My final score for Avengers Infinity War is 9.4 out of 10.
I apologize for my appearance. I hoped I might be employed here by you as something. A monster for the children to play with, perhaps.
Right from the very first trailer, I knew The Favorite was going to be one of my favorite movies of the year, pun intended. It's funny because I've had mixed feelings towards Yorgos Lanthimos' previous work. I didn't like The Lobster, I enjoyed The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and I absolutely loved Dogtooth. Lanthimos' style of filmmaking, particularly his dialogue, is very distinct. His dialogue is direct, it's unfiltered and unnatural, and his characters are usually unaware of their eccentric behavior. The Favorite is the first time Lanthimos has directed a movie without being the writer, so his trademark dialogue is kind of absent, but his sensibilities are still very much there. In The Favorite, Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz, and Emma Stone portray three real-life figures from early 18th century England. Colman as Anne, the Queen of Britain, Rachel Weisz as Sarah Churchill, and Emma Stone as Abigail Hill. Watching Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone battle for the heart of the Queen of England was like watching Littlefinger and Varys in their primes battle for the Iron Throne, only this chessboard is much smaller and the attacks are more personal. The barbs and jabs shared between them come a mile a minute, and the writing is whip smart for all three characters. This triumvirate of leading ladies is supported by a cast of male politicians, the standout being Nicholas Hoult, who all find themselves being used as pawns in this battle of wits between Stone and Weisz. As the movie gets progressively darker, the performances become more focused, and the three leads prove that they have the emotional dexterity to tackle comedy and also serious drama. Picking who gave the best performance out of the three is almost impossible. It's like a parent picking their favorite child. Well, who am I kidding? Parents always play favorites. My favorite was Rachel Weisz. My final score for The Favorite is 9.4 out of 10.
El doctor Don Diego de Zama. El enérgico. El ejecutivo. El pacificador de indios. El que hizo justicia sin emplear la espada.
I really wasn't sure if I was going to include Zama on my 2018 Best Of list because it was technically released in 2017 in Venice, but its North American release was in 2018, and when am I ever going to get another chance to talk about this little masterpiece? So here we are. Zama tells the story of a Spanish officer born in a remote South American colony who wishes to be transferred by the Spanish Empire to a more agreeable situation. The premise really undersells how emotionally poignant this movie is. Watching Zama was like watching footage of a dying plant in real time. It's a movie about stagnation and internal and external decay. Diego de Zama finds himself stuck in the mud of Spanish imperialism. Everything he does to improve his own life and the lives of the people that he serves is futile. He lives in a barren land where nothing can grow and barely anything can escape. The chaos he finds himself in comes with a front row seat to the progress of his peers. Zama watches as officers come and go, with new governors to rule over the colony and old governors reassigned, leaving Zama behind to slowly deteriorate in front of our eyes. On a technical note, Zama might have the best sound design of any movie I've ever seen, or heard. You can watch this movie with your eyes closed and just marvel at the noise. I had a friend recommend to me that watching Zama with headphones on is the best way to experience this film. All the natural and artificial sounds of nature flicker in between your ears, creating an almost dreamlike atmosphere for a story that's too harsh to be a fantasy. It's the first film I've seen by Argentinian director Lucrecia Martel, and the bar has been set incredibly high, so going back and exploring her filmography is something I'm looking forward to in 2019. My final score for Zama is 9.5 out of 10.
At the beginning, she gave me things. Perfect balance, perfect sleep. Oh, she wants to get inside of me. I can feel her. Oh, she can see me.
My favorite movie of the year, 2018's horror remake, Suspiria. And I'm sure everyone watching this video is in full agreement, so I don't really have to explain myself, but I will anyway. Suspiria is a movie that exists on a plane that's almost impossible to reach. I've been grasping with its themes and ideas for months now, and I still find myself no closer to its truth. The themes of the movie are well stated: feminism, motherhood, national guilt, the athletic dilemma of physical sacrifice, the moral dilemma of actual human sacrifice. The genius of Suspiria is that these themes are presented to us in a heightened and horrifying way. The first wave of the movie hits you on a subconscious level and then forces you to dig deeper to find its meaning. Dakota Johnson continues to wash off the stink of 50 Shades of Grey by delivering a performance that quietly radiates inner strength and determination. She trades in her sugar daddy for 3 sugar mamas, the 3 witches that run the Marcos Dance Academy in Berlin. And without spoiling anything, Tilda Swinton truly loses herself in her character. She is one of the best actors working today. Seriously, I would not be mad if she took home 3 Oscars in February. I don't know why she would, but, you know, I'll be happy with just one. Unlike its 1977 counterpart, 2018 Suspiria is a buffet of horrific and surrealist delight. No matter how many times you watch it, you're always going to come back for more, and each time you will find something new to chew on. And that's why it's my favorite movie of 2018. My final score for Suspiria is a 10 out of 10. So guys, those are my top 10 movies of 2018. Make sure that you comment your favorite movies in the comment section below. Tell me if you agree, disagree, any movies that should have been left out, any movies that did not deserve to be on the list. And yeah, I'll see you guys next video. I'll see you when we do the next video. Probably Game of Thrones.